So today's project, I'm going to start on something that I've been wanting to do for a little while. Just one, didn't find the right part, and two, have been really trying to figure out my build over the last couple months, and been out on the trail a few times, and I've seen people change out their quarter panel to put a armor body on it that basically wraps around the tire and then comes around the back side of the Jeep and deletes the rear tail light. I like the look of that. However, I wasn't ready at this time in my build to put on the body armor. I wasn't sure I wanted to put all the holes in there. Still not sure how all the dirt, when it gets behind the panel, from wheeling and rain and everything, what this is going to look like if I had to take that panel off, what that repair would look like. It's pretty much, once you go down this road, you're going down the road and there's no turning back from what I can see. That's just me. So I decided to take a baby step, and so I asked for, and Santa Claus delivered, the Motobilt 4-inch light conversion kit. And so for me, this is my first baby step into going that direction. Gets rid of this big bulky light and then puts in the flush light on the back, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Really like the look of it. I was on a Peck Brothers site watching one of their videos a while back, and they used a Motobilt frame extension and something they were working on, and so I got on the Motobilt site checking some of the products that they have and came across their delete. Really liked it, liked the way it worked. This one has the reverse light in it, the blinker and the brake light all into one. Some of them have a smaller light in the back. A lot of different reasons why I picked Motobilt. Really like the way their lights were set up, the 4-inch LEDs, as well as the plates that go on it. I would say the plates are probably pretty standard. You could probably make it yourself, but I decided to buy it, get the kit, everything involved. So that's the project I'm working on today. So first step is going ahead and removing the tail light from the back of the Jeep. Basically 2 screws, and then it kind of just fits into a grooves and then pops back out. So that's where I'm at right now. So before I go too much further, I really want to look at the wiring diagram here and see how this is all wired up. I have an additional set of wires here going to my reverse light. The reverse light then ties into these bumper lights that was part of the bumper when I bought it. And instead of them being connected to a switch inside the Jeep, I decided to put them on my reverse. When I put the vehicle in reverse, these lights come on really nice at night. Gives me a nice view in the back. Probably blinds every trail rider behind me when I go to back up, but in any event, really helps me out on the trails. Also, as far as I go with these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the harness piece here, and I'm just going to clip these off and get rid of the light. I'm not going to throw it away. I may see if anybody's interested in it in the club, but what I'm going to do is just take this off, keep this clip, so if I wanted to disconnect or I needed to change the light anytime, I have that option. I like to make some notes when I'm doing some wiring, just so I can always come back and take a look at it later, or if I need to adjust something, I can. So I'm just going to kind of draw out this box right here. white yellow. The bottom here I have a white green. And then the other two are blank. And then I know that this white green here that white green goes to that white green right there goes to the reverse light. So the white yellow and the white purple, I'm going to determine which ones they go to. So right now I'm just going to go inside the Jeep, turn the turn signal on, and then cut one of the wires, and whatever wire turns off the light will tell me which wire I can write down to mark, so when I rewire everything I know which wires go where. Okay, so I have my flasher on now. Let's start with the yellow white first. That's either going to be brake light or turn signal. And so the white yellow is the turn signal. So I'm going to make that note on my sheet, which means my white purple is going to be brake. My black is always ground. So there we go. Light is out. So I have the wiring harness disconnected. I set that up out of the way for right now. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But right now, the next step is to set up to put the plate on here. Now, the challenge is there's, if you see this, it's kind of a wobbly section because there's two raised areas. There's one here, and there's actually a third kind of right here. Also, if you look inside, if I go to put that on, I need this round section cut out so I can go ahead and put the light in. It won't go in with these sections there, so I'm going to have to take care of that. Now, again, no expert by any means, but there's a couple ways you can do this. You could cut this bump out on both sides, and you can cut this down here to get rid of this. This piece here is going to come into play because you can only go over so far, so there's not a lot of room for adjustments here. You could cut them out, so that's definitely one option. According to the instructions to install the Motobilt versions, you take a grinder, pop these clips out, and then go ahead and grind these down so that they're flush, and then cut a section out here so you can go ahead and put in your round light. And that's the method I'm going to use for this side. I'm going to go ahead and pop these clips, grind down here so it's flush, grind down here so it's flush, and then do some touch-up painting. Don't want any bare metal. Do a little cutout to get the light in, and that's the process I'm going to use to put this in. Alright, so the next step is to come in and cut out some of this, so when I go set the plate in, we can get it around the light. for that, for this version of this cut, I'm going to go ahead and use a jigsaw to go ahead and cut this out with a metal blade. Just think that that would be a little easier to control than trying to grind all that down in that location. Although this side here could probably get away with a grinder. I have everything taped up. The goal here is to protect the paint when I bring the jigsaw or the Sawzall jigsaw around. So I filed down the edges here, make sure I got a clean area. I've prepped out for my paint, and really all I really wanted to do is just get where I've while the paint dries, the primer dries around that new bare metal that we exposed. Now it's time to look at wiring up the lights. When I disconnected the lights, I checked to make sure I knew which wires went to what wires on the Jeep. So I have purple white is the brake light, purple yellow is the turn signal, and I'm sorry, white yellow is the turn signal, and white green is the reverse light. So starting here, let's look at my negative wire here, and I'm just going to use a 9-volt battery to test this. We're going to use white first, thinking this is a reverse, and there it is. So that's our reverse light. So I'm going to mark that on the sheet as white. Okay. Obviously black's to black. And then the question is now what is turn signal? So that shows up red there. A little lighter red, I think. Ooh, that's brighter red. I'm going to use a brighter red for my brake, lighter red for my turn signal. So brown will be turn signal. And then the brake light will be the red. And so I'll go ahead and get these wired up. I'm going to do some soldering, and then I'm going to put some covers over them just to kind of keep as much dirt out of it as I can, and I'll double that up with some tape. So there's one done. I have, like I said, out there, I have some tail light stuff or some brake light center on my tire, and the rear reverse lights on the bumper. I'll connect those out there, similar to the way I did before with those 3 ways. I know they're not the best. I know people really don't like those. So this is the case. I also may need to come back and put in a solenoid, or I don't even know what they're called, on the turn signal so I don't get hyper flash. But I really wanted to see the turn signal didn't look really bright on here. Now again, I'm using a 9-volt battery, but if it's not real bright, the hyper flash may add emphasis to that turn. So for right now, I'm not going to include it, and I'll come back and I can always add that later. So I'm going to try to go try to get as close as I can here, and then make sure I got a good line there. So I'm just going to mark some holes next. Ready to put the cover on. Got my holes drilled out. I put a little gasket sealer around the holes just to help me out there. Plus, it doesn't say this in the directions. I put gasket sealer around the outside of this. My goal here is to prevent dirt and other stuff getting behind this, creating problems for me later, whatever that may be. But I put a little gasket sealer on it. Not sure if you're supposed to do that or not. I elected to do it. For the reasons that I've described. So let's get this thing in place. Okay, that's in. Kind of like the way it gives a little bit, so if something hits on it, it'll do that. Don't know what it's going to take to get it off there, but there's the Motobilt 4-inch light. So there's the finished look right there with the tail light delete. A couple notes on that. The tail light, this side I did with the grinder. Everything turned out well. It's got a nice finish on the edge there. I like the way it really turned out. This side over here I did with a Sawzall, and I cut out, or the jigsaw, and I cut out the panels, as I've seen in some other videos. Definitely the grinder was the easier way to go, and if I do it again I would definitely use the grinder. As you can see here, I went ahead and put in the license plate light to go over the license plate. South Carolina, that's part of the law, I believe, for that, so I want to make sure that I put that on. All my lights work, and everything's good. Hopefully you like this video. Please like and subscribe.